If we can have our finalists in extemporaneous speaking join us on stage, and finalists in original oratory down here on contestants row. There were 6 finalists in the final round of extemporaneous speaking. In 6th place, from Fremd, Jack Rosenwinkel. In 5th place, from Wheaton Warrenville South, Elsa Barron. In 4th place, from Schaumburg, Jessica D'Souza. In 3rd place, from Nequa Valley, Alex Shura. Your tournament runner-up in extemporaneous speaking, from Richards High School, Peter Forberg. And your tournament champion in extemp, Ani Chalian from Normal Community West. And now your state champion in extemporaneous speaking, Ani Chalian.
The United Kingdom has had no shortage of important issues to debate in Parliament. One of the most interesting debates the United Kingdom has had in the past few months has been a serious 3-hour debate on banning Donald Trump from ever entering the United Kingdom again. But on a more serious and relevant note, Britain has also been debating leaving the European Union, or staging a Brexit, where according to a Bloomberg article from the 20th of February 2016, David Cameron set a date for the Brexit vote, June 23rd. As the country is seriously debating leaving the European Union, it's important that we ask ourselves today's question. Should Britain leave the European Union? We can see that the answer is a clear and resounding no. This will bring them no benefits for 3 key reasons. First, because the EU greatly benefits their trade. Second, because by refuting the idea that the EU is wrapping them in regulation. And third, by showing that leaving the EU will disastrously reduce their influence on a regional and global level. But first, we must see that leaving the EU would actually be detrimental to British trade, rather than actually helping it, as some Brexit supporters have claimed. Where an article from the Wall Street Journal on the 19th of February 2016 explains that Britain sends 50% of its exports to other European Union nations. These are exports that go to other countries free of tariffs, and so are significantly more competitive on a regional level than if they were sent to other areas of the world subject to tariffs, and the prices would increase, making them significantly less competitive. And Britain benefits much more from this deal than other countries in the European Union do, where the same article explains that just 6.6% of exports from other areas of the European Union get sent for sale in the United Kingdom. So this trade relationship that they have for being a part of the EU is extremely beneficial for British trade. And leaving the European Union would show this opportunity to disappear extremely quickly. And this trade deal doesn't restrict Britain's trade with other countries either, where an article from the Financial Times on the 9th of February 2016 explains that because Britain does half of its trade with the European Union, the other half has to go somewhere else, and it's going abroad. Specifically, 20% of it going to the United States, and the others going to countries all around the world, as Britain has trade deals completely independent of the European Union. So leaving the EU does not help their trade prospects, as some supporters have claimed, but in reality hurts them, as they have the freedom to trade with the international community already, and their trade with the EU is greatly benefited by this partnership. But beyond just the benefits that trade have for staying in the EU, we can also see that the claims that Britain is all wrapped up in red tape from EU regulations are simply unfounded. Where an article from the Financial Times on the 9th of February 2016 explains that Britain is actually the least regulated country in the entire European Union, like 28th out of 28th. So the idea that Britain is all wrapped up in this red tape that no other European Union country has to deal with is completely unfounded. But just that Britain is underregulated in their region, they're also underregulated in the world. Where an article from Bloomberg on the 11th of February 2016 explains that in comparison to other developed economies, Britain is significantly underregulated in comparison as well. Less regulated than American businesses, Australian businesses, and Canadian businesses, showing that this red tape that Brexit supporters have claimed is hurting their economy, their businesses, and their economic growth is simply unfounded. And Britain actually has a regulatory system that is beneficial to businesses and maybe one of the best in the developed world. So Britain should not leave the European Union, as the claims that it is hurtful to their business are unfounded and they greatly benefit from this trade relationship. But beyond even just these two reasons economically, Britain's exit from the EU would also be detrimental to their role in the global community and their influence. Where an article from the Wall Street Journal on the 17th of February 2016 explains that Britain has a lot of influence in the EU, as they are one of the largest economies and military powers of the member bloc. This makes it easy or influential for them to suggest economic and political policy to other members of the European Union, giving them influence that they wouldn't have if they weren't part of this economic bloc. Where an article from the BBC on the 8th of February 2016 explains that Britain values this influence and connection to the power and stability of the region greatly, and by leaving this zone, they decrease their influence in it as well. But beyond just decreasing their regional influence, exiting the European Union also devalues their international influence as well. Where an article from The Guardian on the 8th of February 2016 explains that Britain has as much power and pull on the international level as it does, partially because they're a part of the European Union. This 28-member bloc is significantly more powerful than any single country that is made up of it. Because of this, Britain has more power on an international level in conjunction with the EU. And by leaving it, their pull on economic sanctions and political influence on world events is significantly diminished as well. So Britain should definitely not leave the European Union. So in returning to today's question, should Britain exit the EU? We can see that the answer is a clear and resounding no. This will bring them no benefits. We can see this through three key reasons. First, that their relationship with the EU helps trade, not hurts it. Second, because they're definitely not overregulated. And third, because leaving this economic bloc would decrease their regional and global influence. So while debating Donald Trump is fun and entertaining for the entire world, Britain has serious decisions to make, and one of them should be to stay in the European Union.